in order to be able to have the conversation.
We're on now.
Live from Los Angeles, it's the Life Changes Show.
Look at the bright lights. Look at the bright lights.
With tonight's guest, founder of the Gerson Group, Errol Garrison.
Look at the night sky. Look at the night sky.
And musical guest, Slim Man. I am Mark Lejeune, and now your host, the MC, the master of change, Filippo Voltaggio.
I have so been looking forward to this show tonight. I had 3 monologues before coming into the studio that I thought, well, after I get to meet our guest, I'll decide one of the 3. What ended up happening is I met our guest, and now I have about, 3 dozen monologues that I could give. He inspired so much in me because he reminds me of people, mentors, father figures that I have had growing up that have helped shape my life so much for the better. And at the same time, as he was sharing with me, he said he too had mentors, and they gave him gold. And I thought, and at the same time, he had to have been able to hear and take in the knowledge that was given him. So I invite you today to stop and listen and take in potentially some of the greatest knowledge that is going to be shared here on the Life Changes Show from our guest. And one of the things that I was reminded of in conversation was 2 things actually real quick, is that when I found out that for English, of the 3 or 4 different teachers I could have had, I got this particular one that was the most difficult teacher. I remember saying to my brother, "Oh no, I got Mrs. So-and-so." And my father said, "What's wrong with Mrs. So-and-so?" And I said, "She's hard." And my father said, "The best teachers are hard." And he said, "I'm hard." And my father was a teacher. And I knew, as he was telling me this, that my father was one of the best loved teachers of the whole university where he was. And he said, "I'm hard. You better believe I'm hard." And then I thought, they love him. And I came to love that teacher and learned the most from her. And she was hard. And so I was reminded of that. And I was also reminded of my vocal coach when I was studying opera. And I would go to him. He was 85 at the time. God bless him. And I remember after leaving every session with him, I would call anybody who was available to listen, to tell them what I had learned. Ironically, I wouldn't tell him what I had learned about how to sing vocally. I would tell him what I learned about life. The wisdom had been there. And people would say, "This is all great, but is he teaching you how to sing?" And I thought, oh, you're missing it. He's teaching me about life. And I've brought life into my singing, into my stories, into our show, into everything I do. And today I feel like I have life renewed because our guest is Errol Garrison. And hopefully you will feel the same after you listen to our show. We are the Life Changes Show, and we'll be right back after this.
You are listening to the Life Changes Show, recorded live from Studio NoHo. You can hear tonight's show and all our past shows, which include luminaries such as Marianne Williamson, Gary Anthony Williams, Sierra Campbell, and Ellen Roderick Jones on our archive page at lifechangesshow.com. You can visit us online via Twitter at Life Changes Show and Facebook at The Life Changes Show.
We are back. I'm Filippo Voltaggio, sitting here with Mark Lejour. And Mark, before you walked in, I asked Mr. Gerson if he knew how long he had known you, and he smiled real big, and he said, "I've known him a long time," and as if it was a good thing. And it is.
And listening to your monologue and the opportunity that you two had to connect before I got here made me smile also, because everything that you said was very much my experience. One of the first and most instrumental meetings I had in Los Angeles was with Errol when he was with CAA. And I was a little brash and on the heels of a big IPO and a little bit confident. And I started learning how much I didn't know when I met Errol. So I was very fortunate to call him friend, and so excited to have him here tonight.
We're also fortunate because in the middle of our conversation, I literally broke down emotionally several times. I don't know what it is, except that there was love, there was kindness, and there was teaching, and it felt like, my father, it felt like my uncle, it felt like, wow. So happy to have this experience, and what a great time of year to be sharing this. So many of us gather around with our families at this time of year, and sometimes we act like there's nothing to share. And tonight we have so much. We're calling the show The Art of Entrepreneurship. It could have been called so many things, because our guest is a tenured educator on business management, entrepreneurship, and leadership, and a managing partner at the Gerson Group Consultants. We are so honored to have Errol Garrison here with us. Thank you so much, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here.
I'm laughing already, feeling so good about this, because I'm going to start right off. Your students call your class Business Church.
They do.
And that class is the entrepreneurship class. So why do they call it that?
Because of the great belief that I have that in order to be successful, you have to have the power of your own intellect, the application of things you've learned, and the power of your heart, which mitigates your intellect. So unless the two learn to live together, you unfortunately can become misguided by one or the other.
You are a hard teacher.
I am.
I'm proud of it. So what does that mean to you?
If you have a belief that your students are capable of achieving significant learning, then it is incumbent upon you as a teacher to bring the best out in them. And the only way to bring the best out in someone is to challenge them beyond their level of comfort. When I was a kid and I learned to play tennis, my mother made me play with people who were far better than me. And for the first couple of months, they beat the pants off me. And then slowly things began to change. And I learned from these great players. So I do the same thing in the classroom. I take you beyond your level of comfort in a way, because being uncomfortable is a great place of learning.
You had experiences growing up which brought you beyond the level of your comfort. I think one of the most fascinating is the fact you being born in South Africa, you were against apartheid at a very, very, very young age. How old exactly, and what was that experience for you?
Well, I remember being a page boy in my cousin's wedding and being dressed in a blue velvet outfit and carrying the ring. And I was standing outside waiting to go. And about 10 minutes later, I came into the house naked except for my underwear. And my mother had asked me, "Where's your page boy outfit?" And I told her that a black woman and her son had come by and he had barely any clothes. And so I took my clothes and gave them to him. And she asked me why. I said, because he needed them. And it just seemed the most natural thing in the world to do.
5 years old.
I was 5, and I remember it like it was yesterday.
So you had experiences like that over and over again to the point where that's the reason why you had to leave South Africa.
Eventually, through my involvement in student politics at the university, it became difficult, and many of my colleagues' passports were taken away. They were put under house arrest. And in 1965, Bobby Kennedy came to South Africa, and we went to listen to him. And then he went out onto the steps of the Great Hall and had us all sing "We Shall Overcome," which was banned. And
Wow.
then he invited the police, who were out in the hundreds, to arrest anybody. And of course, they wouldn't. And I thought to myself,
Wow.
this is a courageous man. And
Wow.
he gave me the hope to come to America. And 2 years later, I did.
You before coming to America, you had this understanding that was beyond your years. You were putting things together in your young mind, and one of the things that you shared with me of how you put it together, I thought was brilliant. But I asked you, what was it about apartheid that felt wrong to you? Because it obviously didn't feel wrong to a lot of other people. So what was it about it that felt wrong to you? And you said,
Well, my father took his 6 brothers and 4 sisters in 1933 and fled Germany. They tried to go to England. They were turned away. They tried to get on a ship to America. They were turned away. And the only place they could go to was South Africa, where they had an uncle. And so when I learned that as a child, and I watched what apartheid meant and how Africans were being brutally treated, I thought to myself, my goodness, they're doing the same thing to these men, African men, as had happened to my father in Nazi Germany. And I can't have any part of that.
It's interesting. You landed in America on a really interesting day, which you didn't even know how interesting it really was. What day was that?
It was July the 4th, 1966, in New York
Independence
City.
Day.
Yeah. And it was Independence Day, and I didn't even know. I had no idea.
Well, it was your Independence Day.
It was.
It wasn't. Because what was your first impressions of these Americans?
Well, my cousin who lived in New York took me downtown Manhattan, and it scared the hell out of me. I've never seen so many people in my entire life, all running back and forth and speaking very quickly. And I decided
They were busy.
They were very busy. And I decided I needed to get busy and go to California. And that's what I did 3 days later. I went to the airport and I bribed a TWA official to give me a cheap ticket. And I took an 8-stop flight to Los Angeles.
And you made it here, and here you are.
First day in the rest of my life.
This, to me, is what this conversation is about, the art of entrepreneurship, because in the stories that you shared and how you went about it, and the sensibility and the understanding behind so much is the depth to me of what you have to share when it comes to the art of entrepreneurship. And of course, there's much, much more. We're going to be talking more with our guest, Errol Garrison, when we come back. And a little later on, live music here in the studio with Slim Man, all on the Life Changes Show when we come back after this.
Hey guys, this is Michaela. So I'm here to tell you about the DNA Institute. If you haven't heard of it already, I wanted to let you in on it because it completely changed my life. A few years ago, I was 30 pounds overweight. I wanted a career, good friends, a loving family, and financial success, and I didn't have any of it, so I ate. Within 6 months, the DNA Institute treatment not only helped me lose the 30 pounds, it also rebalanced my hormones, healed my metabolic and digestive system, and made my higher functioning brain so loud it became impossible to overeat when I was full. Don't we all want that? So many of my friends and family turned to the Institute after they saw my success. All of them lost their desired weight, ranging from 8 to 60 pounds. I found this to be so different than anything I'd ever tried before, and it was easier than anything I'd ever done. It's not a supplement or a diet pill. It's a genuine doctor-prescribed custom medical treatment made just for you. It doesn't matter what your situation is or how much weight you have to lose. I believe the Institute will get you to your goal. My experience is that this is more than just a weight loss system. It's a biohack to a better way of looking, feeling, and living. When I started, I had never heard of the DNA Institute, but the fact that they've been in Beverly Hills since 1982 gave me a real peace of mind. Now that you've heard of them, click on the DNA ad at lifechangeshow.com and get your customized formula started today. Change your life like I changed mine.
You are listening to The Life Changes Show, live from Studio NoHo on the BBS Radio Network. You can hear tonight's show and all our past shows, which include luminaries such as The Green Children, Dan Millman, Hot Rod Fuller, and Mike Marino on our archive page at lifechangesnetwork.com. You can also follow us online via Twitter at Life Changes Show and Facebook at The Life Changes Show.
We're back. I'm Filippo, sitting here with Mark and, of course, our guest, Errol Garrison, who is a tenured educator on business management, entrepreneurship, and leadership, and managing partner at the Gerson Group Consultants. However, as you can see, he's so much more. When I said, to me, this is the foundation of the art of entrepreneurship, that speaks to you. And what does that mean to you?
Well, coming to America was probably the most important event in my life, because I came here with $360 and a small bag of clothing. And I didn't know a human being, nobody. And so at that point, I had two choices, sink or swim. And the one thing I knew was that I wanted to go and get an education. And so through a lot of hard work, I found this wonderful little junior college in Costa Mesa, California, called Orange Coast College. And when they told me the tuition was $60 a semester, I said, I'm home, because that was the kind of money I could afford. And that college was life-changing.
You met some people there, one person in particular, that being your mentor.
Yeah, I met very quickly the dean of students, Dean Joe Kroll, who became a mentor and almost a father figure to me. We spent a lot of time together, and he was very interested in my past in South Africa. And he asked me what I wanted. And I said, I want to go to a great 4-year school. And he said, which ones? And I said, I don't know. So he told me about UCLA and USC and a few other schools. And then I went up to visit both SC and UCLA. And I came back and told him that I wanted to go to the University of Southern California.
And for somebody that can only afford $60 a semester, USC was a far cry from even a possibility.
It was $2,400 a semester.
$2,400, right.
Yeah. So I asked Dean Kroll, how do I get to go? And he said, you work your ass off. You get good grades. You run for student government. You become involved in the politics of the school, and you give back. And I listened to every word he said. I became student body president of Orange Coast College. I was very, very active in local politics for the school, helping raise money for bond issues. I was a mentor to kids in Santa Ana, teaching them math and English. And I was a captain of the tennis team and the golf team. And when I graduated, I never heard anything from USC. So I applied to Cal State Long Beach because it was very, very inexpensive. And the day before graduation, Dean Kroll called me in and introduced me to a gentleman who was sitting with him. And he told me, this is Dean William Himstreet. He's the dean of the USC School of Business. And this wave of cold went through me. And Dean Himstreet told me that Dean Kroll had told him about me. They had looked at what I'd done, And he was there to tell me that I'd received a full 2-year academic scholarship to USC.
Wow.
So life-changing.
Wow.
And all thanks to Joe Kroll, and thanks to me for listening to him.
Yes, yes. And you have given thanks. As a matter of fact, you have paid it forward and paid it forward and paid it forward to the tune of so far probably a lot more, but you actually had a figure in the 60-something thousands of students you've worked with. How many?
So this is my 48th year
48
of
years.
teaching at the Art Center College of Design.
Mm.
And I've taught now 6,700 students. And in the past 3 years, 4 students who are children of former students. And
Wow.
that is a trip. That's a trip.
Wow. Well, again, like anything else, if you're listening, then hopefully you're hearing. Actually, before I move on, there's a distinction there that I know that you can share, talk about.
The first day in a finance class at USC, where my second mentor, Dr. Jim Stansel, became my second mentor, he said, "Gentlemen, I'm going to teach you something very important, and it has nothing to do with finance."
And it was a finance class.
He was a finance guy.
Yeah, okay.
He said, "I'm going to teach you how to listen,
Hmm.
because most of you just hear, and hearing will never get you anywhere." And that was a huge lesson. And he said, "When I lecture and I ask you a question, I want you to pause 8 to 10 seconds and be sure you understand what it is you're going to ask me. And that way I'll know you were listening and not just hearing." And I've done that ever since.
Wow. Well, so if people are listening instead of just hearing, they will know that we've mentioned mentor a couple times, and that's actually really important. And it comes out in a book that you're writing, which doesn't come out until 2020, but we look forward to the show when we get to announce it and have you on. The book is going to be called Motive 8. With the using the number 8 so it's motive and the number 8, so for motivate, and it's an acronym, and then the first M is for mentor. It's that important. The second letter is O, and that's for
Options. Because when a human being is stuck and they don't know what to do, it's time to use chess mentality. Chess mentality forces you to think 3 to 4 steps ahead. So when you're stuck, think about options. Okay, so we've funded this company. We've got 4 months capital left. What are we going to do if not what are we going to do if we run out of capital? What steps are we going to take now using options to ensure that we don't exceed our burn rate? Options frees you up.
That reminds me of something else that you said about resources. Something about a lot of people think, well, I can't start this business because I don't have the money, or et cetera, et cetera. And you have an answer to that.
Yeah, it always pains me when people tell me, if only I would have been able to raise the capital for this, we could have had our company. And I say, stop worrying about resources and worry about being resourceful. Ben & Jerry started their ice cream company with a $5 ice cream recipe that they got from New York. And this is after they'd gone bankrupt selling bagels in Brooklyn. They got to be the only 2 Jews who went bankrupt trying to sell bagels in Brooklyn. And of course, the rest is history. A $5 ice cream became Ben & Jerry's. What an incredible concept.
Wow. Actually, you shared a story about, because at this stage of your career, you still take time to give back in many, many ways. And one of them was you went to Pacoima to work with some underprivileged children. And there was a particular 9-year-old girl, that story, and you taught her that lesson. And how is that working out?
So this was a remarkable privilege to go and work with these kids, because I believe that kids have enough potential to live 1,000 lives. And so this little girl was paying attention to almost everything I said. And I said to her, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And she said, "I want to be a doctor." I said, "Well, what do you have to do in order to become a doctor?" She said, "I have to study very hard and I have to go to school. And that school costs a lot of money." I said, "You're absolutely right." So if you can start to think at this point in your life how you can make a little bit of money, who knows what could happen later on. We spent a few more hours with her and a few others. And then about a month later, her mother wrote to the school and told us that she had collected pieces of wood around the neighborhood, and she had drawn with some colored markers to make little figurines. And she'd gone around the neighborhood selling them for 25 cents and 50 cents. And she was able to put together enough money to buy 48 bottles of water at Kmart. And she told her mother to put them in the refrigerator. And the next day, she found an old shopping cart. She put the cold water in, and she went around the neighborhood and sold them for $1 a bottle. She did that throughout the summer. And her mother said by the end of the summer, she'd raised over $138.
Wow.
Remarkable. That girl doesn't know what impossible is. She knows what I'm possible is.
Oh,
It's the same word.
yeah.
You just look at it differently.
Wow. What a lesson for her for the rest of her life. It's the hundred and whatever dollars it was. It doesn't even begin to compare to what that may mean to her consciousness and her unconsciousness, for that matter. Wow, that's really taking in the lesson. Actually, I'm going to get your goat for a moment, if I may. Another kid might say, "Well, she was just lucky."
So thank you so much, because you have mentioned the only 4-letter word that ends in UCK that I despise. I have no belief in luck. Luck is where opportunity meets desire. And people who talk about that they've had bad luck in their lives, if only they could simply know that it has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with the power of intention.
I'm waiting for more. I'm just going to keep quiet.
Well, one of my other mentors who died last year was Wayne Dyer. And Wayne Dyer, I have read all of Wayne's books since the very first one. And everything that this man wrote and everything that he spoke about resonated so deeply with me. And one of the things that Wayne Dyer said in his seminar called The Power of Intention was that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And that so struck me. And I thought to myself, that's exactly what my life has been about. Mark knows that about 6 years ago, I almost died from a heart disease, and I had 8 heart operations.
Wow.
One after the other. And I can tell you that not once, ever, after the operation did I ever think to myself, poor me. What I thought about was, how fortunate am I to live in an age where there are such talented doctors and these procedures, which didn't exist 20 years ago, that God has watched over me and has allowed me to survive this. That's a remarkable thing. And that's, for me, the other powerful word, and that is gratitude. Because everything about me that emanates happiness and joy comes from gratitude.
Wow. There are so many videos and more coming, actually. If you actually several, there's a movie series or a series coming out. So and there are writings. So if you go to LinkedIn, Gerson, the letter, and then Gerson, E. Garrison. You'll find him on LinkedIn. And then also, if you go to YouTube, and you'll see like they're 1 minute long. So AIGA Los Angeles, AIGA Los Angeles has a web channel with so many of his teachings. So if you look up Errol Garrison, Errol Garrison, Gerson on YouTube, you could find him there, and of course he's on LinkedIn. And there's a book coming out, and there's all kinds of stuff. And we look forward to a little bit more conversation with our guest, and then later on live music here in the studio with Slim Man. And Dorothy's going to be joining us, our executive producer, for her Ask Dorothy segment, all on the Life Changes Show when we come back after this.
The Little Dog That Could is the fantastically true story of a man and a little dog that came into his life as his mentor to help him understand the world beyond his human senses and to experience life, love, and healing beyond his human understanding. Best-selling author Filippo Voltaggio, who currently hosts the highly regarded Life Changes show, is an internationally known singer, speaker, and life coach. Filippo offers up his own story, how one little surprise package in fur and 4 legs transformed his life unexpectedly forever and furthered his path of self-discovery. In The Little Dog That Could, Filippo brings to life the meaning of the adage, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Through the reading of this book, you will experience the journey of real miracles that transcend time, space, and logic while gaining practical tools that will help you navigate your way. The Little Dog That Could is available through Amazon and Barnes & Noble. For more information, visit thelittledogthatcould.com. That's thelittledogthatcould.com. You are listening to the Life Changes Show, recorded live from Studio NoHo. You can hear tonight's show and all our past shows, which include luminaries such as Mariel Hemingway, Shadow Stevens, Barbara Morrison, and Kyle Cease at our archive on our website at lifechangesshow.com. You can also follow us online via Twitter at Life Changes Show and Facebook at The Life Changes Show.
We're back. I'm Filippo, sitting here with Mark and, of course, our guest, Errol Garrison. And we've been talking about entrepreneurship. And interestingly enough, the last thing we talked about was gratitude. And I'd like to come right back to gratitude, because what does that have to do with entrepreneurship?
So it's amazing how many students of the 6,700 that I've taught will always ask me the same question when I ask them, what do you want? And the answer isn't success or fame or fortune, it's happiness.
Oh.
And I say, where do you think happiness comes from? And that's when you get the blank stare. And that's when I begin to tell them that the only place you can ever find happiness is through gratitude. Gratitude and empathy are inexorably linked together, because if you don't know how fortunate you are for everything you have, then things have no value.
Wow.
So I had a student come to me in class, and he said, I'd like to talk to you after class, in that tone of voice. I said, okay.
Okay.
Students left, and he said, you bother me. I said, okay, wonderful. At least I got some reaction from you. That's good. He says, I don't like your overarching religiosity.
Wow.
Mine? He said, yes, I know what you are. You do? What am I? He said, you're a born-again Christian. I said, well, my rabbi would be very surprised to know that, but why do you think I'm? He says, well, you spout all this stuff about gratitude. I want you to know something. I'm grateful to nobody for anything. Wow. Your parents? No. Teachers? No. Friends? No.
Wow.
Because the only thing that happened in my life that's worthwhile is what I do. So I said, okay, do you have a good bed? He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, if you have a bad bed, it would be bowed. So do you have a good bed? He said, I guess I do. I said, tomorrow morning, go to your bed and say, thank you for giving me a good night's rest. And he walked out of my class. He came back the next week and he said, I got to talk to you. After class, he says, Every morning when I came to my bed, you jumped in my head, and I thought, I'm not going to say it.
Oh, wow.
The hell with you. But then Sunday morning, my girlfriend was in the shower, and I decided to clean the apartment, and I made breakfast. And as I was making my bed, you jumped in my head, and I looked at my bed, and I said, thank you for giving me a good night's rest. And my girlfriend came out of the shower, and she asked me who I was talking with. And I said, honey, I'm not talking. She said, I'm not stupid or deaf. Who are you talking to? And I told her, and she looked at me and said, I wish I was as important as your bed, that you would express gratitude to me. And he burst into tears in my class. So I said, what happened? He said, my girlfriend and I talked for 6 hours. And he says, I want to tell you, I am so grateful for your teaching me this. I will never forget you. He still writes to me 14 years later. He's still married to her.
Oh, wow.
They have 3 children. And he says he's now converted from an atheist to an agnostic. So he says, maybe there's room for me still. So that's a story of gratitude and how important it is to people.
Mr. Gerson, I was feeling so proud that I could make it through the interview without getting tearful. And in the end, you got me. And I am grateful to you for that and so much more. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing like you shared from the place that you shared. I look forward to more of you.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure and a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Errol Garrison, please do look him up. LinkedIn and on YouTube. You'll be hearing more from him. And with that, we have our Ask Dorothy segment.
Dear Dorothy, I am Marianne, and I work for a state-run business in Missouri that has dozens of group homes for disabled men and women. I work in one of the homes, and my job is to take care of 4 men who have several different kinds of disabilities and who simply cannot take care of themselves. My job is to cook and clean for them, in addition to drive them to places they want and need to go. I enjoy bringing light and joy into their secluded lives by taking them out into nature and taking them to see lots of animals in the farms. Our company has over 24 openings in the surrounding areas, and the new hires are less than competent and have not been trained to work with these people. So I am working way too much overtime, and I no longer love my job. I have tons of accumulated sick leave, and I want to take some time off due to being totally stressed out and overworked. I know I can get a doctor to give me just cause for a leave of absence. However, I feel like the guys I care for will experience abuse from the uncaring and untrained people who would take my shifts, and I don't know if I can handle the guilt. What can I do?
Dear Marianne, guilt is simply not an elegant choice, and it serves no one. Years ago, I had a lot of guilt going on, and I discovered an amazing book by Dr. Gerald Jampolsky titled Goodbye to Guilt, Releasing Fear Through Forgiveness. I can't recommend this book enough. And please know that these guys will be okay if you take time off, even though they will miss you. What is important here is for you to choose to take care of you. If you choose to continue to overwork and stress out, this could possibly lead to serious health challenges. I believe it is time for you to see a doctor and get the sick leave started. I urge you to take some of your time off to discover what other kind of job might be a better calling for you. I intuit that you love nature and animals, and you may wish to look and see what kind of work is available in that arena. You might wish to ask yourself this question. If you could do anything at all and not fail, what would you choose to do? Let's pay attention to your answer to this important question and then see what might be available for you to do something you love. Life is way too short to waste even a minute of it doing something we no longer enjoy.
Thank you, Dorothy. And if you have a question for Dorothy, please write her at AskDorothy@lifechangeshow.com.
And we'll be right back with our musical guest, Slim Man, here on the Life Changes Show right after this.
There are self-help seminars costing thousands of dollars guaranteeing miraculous transformations. There are compelling speakers and life-changing weekend experiences where you can walk on fire. They all deliver revelations that guarantee you'll come back for the more expensive revelations filled with even greater wonder next month on Fiji. We get addicted to positive, heartfelt, expensive theater. What we really need is a jumpstart, an awakening, someone who can give us a reminder that everything we need lies within. Through inspiration and practical knowledge, Dorothy Donahue helps people get grounded and motivated, inspired and energized. It's not just words and affirmations and the power of intention. It's a mindset brought about by a tangible, transcendental experience, an audio-visual, physical, spiritual experience that helps us realize we transform ourselves. We get tools to become the conscious co-creators of lives of unlimited potential. Find out more. Go to DorothyDonahue.com.
The Life Changes Show is a premier radio show presented by the Life Changes Network, which is a company whose team has dedicated their lives not only to positive change, but to helping others observe and embrace, honor, and even celebrate their own changes, thus enabling a more positive, inspired life and helping to create a more positive and inspired world. From everyday people, celebrities, corporate giants, and children, we are here to help and to serve. With heart, integrity, and experience, we bring our message and positive intent into your lives through the Life Changes Show, lifechangesnetwork.com, and through guest appearances on other inspiring shows and events. If you wish to learn more about Life Changes Life Coaching, a private consultation with one of us, corporate or live event appearances, or if you would like to appear on your radio or TV shows, please email us at info@lifechangesnetwork.com.
We're back. I'm Filippo sitting here with Mark and, of course, our guest, Errol Garrison. And joining us in the studio is singer, songwriter, music producer. I'm just going to throw this in because it's true, and entrepreneur, Slim Man. Slim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Filippo.
I had to throw in the entrepreneur thing because you've had so many careers. But before we get into that,
Yes.
I have to say, with Mr. Gerson pulling at my heartstrings, reminding me of my father and his wisdom and all these mentors that I've had. And then you come in and you hand me a lemon from your lemon tree, just like the kind that my mother would have in Sicily and would make limoncello from.
Yeah.
What is going on today?
Oh, I love lemons. About every morning for the last 300 years, I get up, I take a lemon, cut it in half, squeeze it into a glass, and I drink a full glass of lemon water. And I've been doing that for 20 years.
When Slim gives you lemons.
Yeah. Make limoncello.
Make limoncello. Exactly. Well, actually, the limoncello reminds me that I want to mention that I knew you. I think I've seen you perform in Palm Springs, but I knew you mainly from Facebook as Slim Manicotti. Manicotti.
Like we say in Baltimore, Slim Manicotti.
And so I often wondered, is that his real name? It's got to be his real name. Why would he come up with a name like Slim Manicotti? What? And then I find out you came up with a name like Slim Manicotti.
Yeah, Slim Man is obviously not my real name, but when I got on Facebook, which is very early on in Facebook, Slim Man was already taken. And so I just put Slim Manicotti. I didn't think of like Slim Man Music or the real Slim Man or whatever. I just figured Slim Manicotti, not knowing that Facebook would become
like who's going to get on this thing? Right. And who's going to see
who's going to know me as Slim Manicotti? And I thought it was like a kind of a joke, like Larry Lasagna, Slim Manicotti. You know what I mean? So Slim Manicotti is not my real name.
Well, but what is Slim Man? Because you are a tall, slim man, as they would say back east. You're a tall drink of water. But so is that where that comes from?
No, I've been in music all my life. Got my start as a songwriter at Motown Records, and for a couple of years in the late 1980s, I was involved in a country music talent contest. I've never sung country music, never been involved, but I was asked to go around to honky tonks all around the United States to try and find the next big country music star. So I would go into these little teeny honky tonks in the backwoods, and there's nothing really glamorous about it. And I would get up and I would introduce myself with my real long, real Italian name, and you could just feel the frost in the air with all the cowboys and cowgirls in the audience. So the next night, I was like, I got to come up with a nickname. So I came up with the name Slim Chance, hello, my name is Slim Chance. I thought Slim was good for country. Chance is good for a talent contest. And that's how it got started, Slim Chance. And everybody started calling me, hey, Slim, man, what are you doing? So people would think that my name was Slim Man. And that's how it evolved. Kind of confusing. I'm confused too.
Well, Mr. Man, you said
Mr. Man.
You said that. Oh, like you haven't heard that before.
When I check into hotels, that's what I like. Are you okay, Mr. Man?
You said that you got started in Motown, but didn't you? I like the fact. It's go back a few years. You got started at 5 years old when your dad took you to a movie.
Yeah, my dad loved old movies, and he would show me movies when I was a kid. And when I was 5 years old, he showed me a movie that with Louis Armstrong and Danny Kaye called The Five Pennies. And I heard and saw Louis Armstrong sing and play. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And I told him I wanted a trumpet for Christmas. So he got me a plastic one for Christmas. I broke it on the spot and said, I don't want a fake one. I don't want a plastic one. I want a real trumpet.
And you're going to get me a real trumpet. What do you mean you broke it?
Yeah.
Like gratitude.
The hell with that. No, I really wanted a real trumpet.
Wow.
And I didn't want to be treated like a kid. So I broke it and I said, I want a real trumpet. So he rented me a trumpet for my birthday, which is right after Christmas. I started playing and singing.
Well, your birthday's coming up then. Happy birthday. And okay, so you're not going to be playing the trumpet today.
No.
You play several other instruments, right?
I play when I play and perform live with the Slim Man stuff, I play bass and I sing. And I will occasionally sit at the piano and accompany myself while I sing.
Yeah.
And I also play guitar, but just kind of hacking around the house.
So interestingly enough, you posted recently a Christmas song, which we thought might be fun to share. But you also posted a version of
Baby, it's cold outside. Yeah, like years ago, I've thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool to do a version of Baby, It's Cold Outside?
So you were ahead of the curve.
Except for I would sing the female part and she would sing the male part. I thought that would be cool.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with Antonia Bennett, who's Tony Bennett's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And we met in New York City at a great little
She's
studio.
great.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Wow.
Just saw her. And so we went and recorded. I sang the female part and she sang the man part.
And that was years ago, and now it's like people are like, "Hey, look what this guy just did!"
Right,
this Slim Man guy.
Slim Man guy. He solved the world's problems.
All right, but we thought, in honor of the moment, a Christmas song would be fun. So you've actually written several, and this one's called what?
It's called All I Want for Christmas.
Okay. Well, here is Slim Man performing live on the Life Changes show. All I Want for Christmas here at Studio NoHo.
All I want for Christmas is to be with you. Just one wish on Christmas Day. Make my dream come true. Please come home for Christmas, because I miss you so. I'd love to see you standing there under the mistletoe. And each night I pray, before I go to sleep, that on Christmas Day you'll come back to me. Yes, and all I want for Christmas is you. Whoa.
Do you always do that laugh at the end? Because that was great. I liked it.
I just
Slim Man.
I'm just a happy guy.
You happy guy. Well, That's is it? Hold on. Is it on your Christmas Eve?
I have
Slim
2
Man album?
Christmas CDs.
You have 2 Christmas CDs. Wow.
That was the title cut from the very first one, All I Want for Christmas. And I have a new one. Not the most recent is Christmas Eve.
Is Christmas Eve. Okay. That I'm looking at there right now. It looks like maybe there's a couple originals. There are a couple originals?
There are 3 originals on there.
Yeah.
And on the Christmas Eve CD is the version of Baby It's Cold Outside with Antonia Bennett.
So that's Christmas Eve, Slim Man. Actually, Sweet 16 is another one of your albums, and Young at Heart. Young at Heart looks like a lot of like great Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin kind of songs.
Yeah. I do a Rat Pack show. I'm doing it on March 10th in Palm Springs
That's
with a
right, you do.
17-piece big band. It's going to be so exciting.
That's
the
huge.
first time I played with a big band was back in September, and I've never done that before.
It's a rush.
It was, I'm telling you, a thrill. 17 pieces and all those Nelson Riddle arrangements and the Quincy Jones arrangements. Best is yet to come. Fly Me to the Moon. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
So we have a lot of local people that listen. So they could go to Slim Man. There are 2 M's in that, SLIM and then MAN.com. And they could obviously learn more about you, get the CDs, and CDs are also available where CDs are sold.
Yeah.
But they could come see you live. This is going to be 17. I might have to come. Sunday, March 10th at the Riviera Hotel. Nice. Actually, I should mention that Lori Bono, who is a mutual friend of ours, and so she saw that you were going to be on the show, and she's, of course, is in Palm Springs, and she said he also cooks really well, and so that's important because you brought me an apron that has
legalized marinara.
Legalized marinara on it. and a hat with it looks like a bunch of they look like slim women is what they look like.
Well, it's just
making up the word slim man.
Naked silhouettes of people that spell out Slim Man. Yeah.
You are so clever. Can these be gotten at your website?
Yeah, you can get all right there.
Clever man. So let's talk about food for real quick.
Yes.
Like, are you making like a lot of food at Christmas, or is that?
I normally don't do any of that turkey stuff. I'll cook like a bolognese sauce, spaghetti and meatball, something like that, eggplant, Parmigiana. But I've never cooked a turkey.
I wasn't asking you if you cook a turkey. I just said,
I do cook.
Okay.
What I do is I go to my family's house, and I'd say, open up the cookbook. I have a cookbook out. Open up the cookbook, pick a recipe, and I'll cook whatever you want. When I was back east on Sunday, the kids wanted bolognese sauce, so that's what I made. Takes 3 hours, but it's fun.
I like that. Open up the cookbook and I'll cook whatever you want.
Yeah, there are 52 recipes in there. I figured they could find something they wanted.
It would be fun. I don't know. You just maybe this is not a good idea for you, but I just think it's like people would spend lots of money to invite you to come to their house, and you say, open up the cookbook, I'll cook whatever you want, and then open up my CD and I'll sing it for you live.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, I've done that.
Oh.
It is great. It is fun. It's a lot of fun. People ask me all the time and say, would you come to my house or come to my party and cook and sing? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
If the price is right.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes I do it for charity too.
Slim Man, SLIMMAN.com. Actually, so do we get to hear one of your other songs?
Yeah.
What is this one called?
My first gig was a songwriter at Motown Records. I went up to New York when I was a kid. I had a pocket full of tapes, played it for a big time publisher. It went horribly. I went out into the street, and I'm like, I'm not going home without something. So I called up Motown. I went over to their office, and I played my tapes for them. The vice president of the Motown was in the office next door. He peeked his head in and said, come on in here. And he signed me to a recording contract. And
wow.
One of the first.
See, entrepreneur.
Yeah, one of the first songs I wrote was recorded by Angela Bofill on her debut CD. It was one of the first records on
Wow,
GRP
actually,
Records.
I should mention that several people have sung your music, actually. And
Uh-huh.
and so is this one of the first songs you wrote while you were
This
there?
is the first song that I wrote while I
Oh.
was there. They told me they wanted a song and they wanted it right away. I was at my mom's house. I took a cassette.
Making bolognese.
Yeah,
and-
and I took a cassette player. I took one side, put the mic in the piano, took the other side and sang into it. So if you were listening to it, like in your car, for instance, on the left side, you'd hear the voice. On the right side, you hear a distorted piano.
I hope you still have that tape.
I sent it to the office in New York because they wanted it right away. And this is how bad it sounded. I didn't even call them up to find out if they got it, if they liked it or anything. And then 2 weeks later, they came down and they played me the actual recording. Dave Gerson produced it.
Oh,
He's
wow.
done like, Tootsie and On Golden Pond, all the soundtracks and stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
wow. Do you still have that tape?
No. Thank God.
That's anyway. Well, what's it called?
It's called Summer Days.
It's Summer Days. Okay, here
From
it is.
Angela
Slim
Bofill.
Man live on the Life Changes show, singing Summer Days here at Studio NoHo.
Into the night, the evening sun begins to fade. And I've been thinking about you and the summer love we made. And all the memories start running through my mind. Your smile at sunrise walks by moonlight, the heaven in your eyes. It seems like yesterday is gone with the wind. Summer days and moonlit nights, through the waves and holding tight. Turn around and summer's almost gone. Turn around and summer's almost gone. Summer's almost gone.
Slim Man. Man, you shortened it. You shortened it, man.
I did, I don't, how these days they say, you got 1 minute.
No,
You get
man.
1 minute to sing.
Well, you could have kept going. We've been enjoying it, and is that on one of the CDs?
That is on the Solstice CD. That's one of my CDs that it sold well under 1 million copies. So most people don't have it. But if you look up the Slim Man Solstice CD, I do a version of that.
It took me a moment. Like, oh wait, how much could that be? No, I'm not asking. Can I just tell you what a pleasure it was to have you come out and do this with us?
Oh, Filippo, it's a pleasure. Do your friends or family, do they call you People? Do they have that nickname? Because that's what they called my dad was Filippo. That was his name. And they used to call him People.
Yeah, actually in Italy they do that.
Yeah.
But not here. No.
Well, it's a pleasure, Filippo. It really is. Thank you for having
But
me.
you could call me People. That's,
Okay, People.
No.
Molto grazie, mille grazie. Piacere mio.
And actually, you know what? You have something you do for fun regularly, or in Palm Springs, right?
I do.
Don't you? Like don't you have like every month or something? You're
Every Wednesday night I play at this really cool club called Vicky's.
yes,
Yeah, and I have a great band. This kid plays saxophone. He's 19 years old. Got a kid who's like 20 who plays guitar. So I've got this young, incredibly good band, really. And it's a nice club. No TVs, as people kind of sit around and actually pay
no
attention.
TVs.
I know. So they actually watch the band. There's a 9-foot grand piano. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
fun.
Vicky's in Palm Springs on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, Palm Springs Wednesday nights. Most Wednesday nights we play there.
I got to
Yeah.
catch you one of these days. Either that or in March on the 10th. Is it the 10th?
March the 10th is the big Slim Man 17-piece Rat Pack big band show.
Yeah, that won't be the last time you're doing that. That's going to be fun.
I hope so. I hope I do it again.
With that, thank you so much, Slim Man, and once again, Errol Garrison. Thank you so much. What a wonderful show this has been because of the two of you. And that is our show. And with that, I want to thank. Are you playing us out? I want to thank Brent Hahn here at Studio NoHo for making us all sound so good.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you,
Brad.
Are you making this up as you go?
I am.
I like this one. What are you going to call it?
I don't know. It's called Life Changes.
Life Changes, indeed. There are actually several songs already called that, and they've been written here on the show, actually. So this will be Life Changes number 5.
Again. All right.
Life Changes again.
Life keeps changing. Life keeps changing.
On behalf of our executive producer, Dorothy Lee Donahue, and our producer and co-host, Mark Lejeune, I am your host, Filippo Voltaggio, reminding you that as your life changes, like ours surely did tonight, we're here for you. Ciao, everyone.
You have been listening to the Life Changes Show. Listen live every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Time and visit us online at lifechangesnetwork.com, on Facebook at The Life Changes Show, and on Twitter at Life Changes Show. Join us again next week as we consciously explore and embrace the only constant, life changes. The Life Changes Network is an entertainment network. The views and opinions expressed are those of the guests and participants and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Life Changes.
Doug, it's Brent. We got a it's a different configuration because we have the laptop that used to be out by Filippo. Now it's back here with me.
Not a problem.
So we just have to figure out. We have to figure out how to make everybody hear everybody. We haven't sorted that out yet.
Trust me.
Yeah. So But anyway, welcome. Glad to have you back, man.
Glad to be back. Thank you. Really, truly, thank you. It's great to be back.
All righty. So
Am I to end this now?
The YouTube thing. Yeah, I guess we have to end it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I did it.